Welcome everyone to a special episode. We're calling this "Is Pro Wrestling Dying?" We don't have no video intro, but we got that.
I'm just going to say, for our sake, I hope not. There's no podcasts anymore.
Now, Canada Dry, we don't have to quite make it sound like we're at a real funeral here, because we don't want this to be too much of a downer. It's a lighthearted program.
Yes. Let's start off. Introduce yourself, sir.
Well, welcome everybody. As Mr. Canada Dry said, this is a special edition. You can consider it a special edition of the Garage, I think. Yeah. I am the effing expert, Mr. Isaacs.
And I'm, of course, that patron saint of professional wrestling. I'm that ginger up, bubbly son of a bitch. I'm Canada. Effing Dry, damn it. And down below us.
It's me. I am the EVP of everything, all effing wrestling. I'm EVP Joe. How are we doing tonight, guys? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm tired. We did a charity car wash for the USO today. I'm tired. I was watching.
How did that go?
Pretty fun. It was 4 hours out in the sun, so and I live in Maryland.
Did you wear a white T-shirt and on the car?
No, I had a blue JP Morgan T-shirt on today.
Then I put them on the glass, Joe.
No, we raised some funds and donations for the USO.
Now, what is the USO? If people don't know this,
so the USO, I don't know what the USO stands for exactly, but they are when you see these big homecomings for military troops, the USO is usually one of the people that arranges it. But also, this USO chapter that we were supporting, they support Dover. And for those of you that don't know, Dover Air Force Base in Delaware is where all fallen soldiers come. So whether if they've died overseas or anytime you hear about these helicopter crashes in training, anyone who's passed comes through Delaware first.
Now, have they ever had any UFO sightings over Dover?
I'm sure they have. People thinking something is a UFO, I would imagine.
It's more over Nevada.
Colorado, actually, too.
Do you remember that storm, the storm area 9/11? I'm not at 9/11.
Yeah, the storm area for Area 51.
Yeah,
Area 51,
yeah.
You're gonna get blown away if you storm Area 51.
They act like they could just walk up to the gates or something.
They're like, guys, on this day,
pretty much,
we're busting in there and we're going to find those alien corpses and then we're going to reveal them to the world on Twitter.
I guess, I've said this before, when it comes to aliens at Area 51, they're not there. Do you really think that since Roswell, New Mexico happened, that the U.S. government, who can't get on the same page on anything, was like, okay, everyone, let's not leak anything about aliens?
Yeah,
so they have a problem getting on the same page. So you got the one side go, I'd like to propose we move the aliens to Area 52. No, we're not moving them. Big fight over it.
Not in my backyard, pal. Second to put them in yours. All the congressmen are arguing over where to put the aliens.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's always funny to me that crackpot government conspiracy theorists are always like, the government is so incompetent and horrible and can't do shit right, but they're actually secretly genius also simultaneously and can meticulously hide all these facts and have thousands of people be quiet about said facts. It makes no sense.
I personally think that if aliens ever come here, they're just going to keep driving past Earth because we're so freaking just out of it. They're going to look at us and be like, what is wrong with you people? And just keep driving.
So they're like Montana. You just skip it.
Yeah, you ain't missing much in Montana.
Yeah, you just keep driving.
You're not missing anything, pal.
Can't Draw, you like that meme that I shared in our group chat? It says the aliens are going to be really confused when they say we're here to take out your leaders and we all get happy and help them.
passing us out ray guns and shit. There you go.
Can we get a super smart like green guy to come in and like clean some shit up? Can we do that?
Sure
Well,
we can do
we could get an orange guy, but I don't know if.
All right, gentlemen, we are here to answer a philosophical question about professional wrestling, a controversial question about professional wrestling. Is professional wrestling dying? And this is something we've already had plenty of chatter about this in our various group chats that we have. So we're just going to dive right into it. Canada
Okay,
Dry.
so I think it's important that we set the preface for this. That when we ask this question, we're not talking about are the doors gonna close in a week, in a month, even in a couple of years. We're talking about what a stage 1 cancer. You got a long life, but you're gonna die sooner or later, right?
I didn't want to equate it to that, but I was thinking that, yeah. Well, Canada Dry doesn't speak for me. I think wrestling's going to die tomorrow. When you wake up in the morning, it's gone, pal, and there's nothing you can do about it now. But yeah,
now, I was wondering, EVP Joe, are you on the same page as us? Are you against what we're saying here?
I don't know. Like, I understand when you. Obviously, we're going to talk about how you can say it's dying. But at the same time, I look at the WWE and they're doing numbers and figures and everything is just bigger and better than ever. It's hard to say that. But that's what we're here for. We're here to discuss it.
On the surface, that's a good argument because on the surface it looks great.
Yeah.
On the surface. We're gonna dive deep below that surface.
Do either one of you want to kind of give like a I don't know, an opening statement on how you feel about this topic?
First, okay, so when we started talking about this, I was perturbed because I was like, "What? I just started this effing wrestling thing, and it's a dying industry." So, yeah, like at first I was disagreeing with you, but you made some good points, and I had to look further into that because is there something we can do to help pro wrestling? Like maybe there's a way to save pro wrestling.
We've already done it.
Maybe AFW can save pro wrestling.
Yes. I was waiting for that segue. Like I knew that was coming. I was waiting for the image to pop up. And I almost said something like, what if we started a prediction league? And that led to the saving of this industry that we love.
Well, we're on AFW TV right now.
Yes, we are.
So it's not just the prediction league.
This is the AFW Galaxy.
Yes.
The Galaxy. Galaxies are better than a universe. All right.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So Canada Dry, I know you said that you were apprehensive about this, and I think that my arguments kind of got you thinking about this. What did you find in particular that made you think that wrestling was trending downward in cultural relevance?
Well, we just finished the death of WCW. We just finished doing that show. Yeah. And WCW at its height was 12 million people.
Yeah.
watching this. And now you can't get more than the 3 million on a good day.
Yeah. No, I've got some numbers here that we'll
get into some numbers. We got some charts. We got some graphs.
I've got some. I was able to pluck out some eye-opening numbers comparing the last week of viewership with a month from 1999. So we'll take a look at that.
But should we get Joe Graham's thoughts first?
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And we're going to analyze that and see what the broader implication is here. But EVP Joe, what do you think about this question and this topic?
I mean, I prefer to be more of an optimistic than pessimistic when we talk about this, because I don't think, like, to me, like, I feel like WWE is basically at that point where it's too big to fail. If you catch what I'm saying, like, I don't think WWE is ever going to die, because it's WWE. It has that name brand value. It's been around for so long. Now, other wrestling promotions like AEW doesn't have it. WCW clearly didn't have it, and anything else. So, like, but WWE, like I said, they have this, I don't know what the word is, but they just know how to stay relevant. Whether it's with how they present their product, how they distribute their product, because we've talked about this. Hello, Raven.
Hey.
We've talked about, like, how they, like, when it came to, like, the WWE Network, they were one of the first companies to do this, and now they're really on the forefront of partnering with Netflix to sit there and distribute their product through that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So we'll take a deep dive into this and see. I can always keep an open mind.
Okay, so I want to get Mr. Isaac's opening thoughts as well.
Yeah, so this is a topic that I have been discussing off and on since being involved in this podcast network for 2 years now. You can go back and listen to the very first show I did with Liam, Magic of Wrestling, I think episode 7.
Really set the tone there, huh, Mr. Isaacs?
Yeah, you can go back and listen to that. And I even brought some of these points up there because, you know, he asked me what I thought was going to happen with wrestling in the future. And
now, did Liam agree with you, or was he, like, perturbed?
He kind of gave me that that look and just kind of said, interesting. Interesting.
That's a Liam thing.
Yes. That's the classic response of, "Oh, I didn't expect you to say that."
Yeah.
And he didn't have a comeback, so
I've elicited that response from Liam quite a bit the past couple of years. That was one time in particular, the very first time we sat down and talked face to face on a podcast about that question. And yeah, he kind of gave me the, whoa, I can't believe you just said that one.
Now,
he was thinking, though, the wheels were turning.
Now, I think what really we want to get into to start is wrestling has become niche.
Yeah. Well, let me finish giving my statement here, and we'll go ahead from here. But what I said essentially is what Canada Dry just said. Professional wrestling has lost relevance in popular culture. It has. I mean, it got really big in the 80s on a regional level. Then it got really big on a national level during the Monday Night Wars era, and got really, really, really huge, created a huge bubble that kind of burst. And after WCW,
as all bubbles do.
Yeah, as all bubbles do, if you study economics, you see that pro wrestling has been on a decline, a slow decline, but a decline for the past 20 years. It's just not culturally relevant like it was. When I was in high school, it was the height of the Attitude Era, and wrestling was hot. All the cool kids liked wrestling. Everybody was wearing DX shirts, NWO. They were wearing Austin 316 shirts. Everyone was. All the cool kids were. It was the thing. And everybody would come in on Tuesday morning and want to talk about Raw and Nitro in every class. That just doesn't happen today. It just doesn't. It's become kind of a niche product that is kind of developed a little more of like a nerdy fan base, right? More kind of like the anime lovers, and, you know, like, wrestling is less of like a blue collar thing, and it's becoming more of kind of a niche, like kind of nerd culture thing, if that makes sense, like comic books and anime and that kind of deal. So it's definitely a lot different now than it was 20 years ago. I mean, you could see it. It was everywhere 20 years ago. Now, it's not. It's not. I mean, you see John Cena, if he has a new movie, he'll go to Good Morning America or something. And that's great. But who in the current state of wrestling is going to achieve that level of fandom? Because I would argue that John Cena is going to be the last crossover star that professional wrestling possibly will ever have. Because I just don't see them ever creating another star that's going to cross over to Hollywood like that. Because I think the era of building major stars is over. Because I think there's the law of diminishing returns here. Well, there's a lot of wrestling out there. There's a lot more people on the internet now that chop up every little thing that every wrestling company does. And I just don't think it's going to be possible to have a star that breaks out moving forward in pro wrestling. And I think that's going to stifle its growth in popular culture. And I think it's going to continue to dwindle over the next couple of decades. What do you think, gentlemen?
I would argue that like your Rocks and your Cenas did more harm to the wrestling business than they did help because they left.
Yeah.
Especially The Rock. The Rock just up and left. He was gone for 15 years.
It was very abrupt when he left.
Yeah.
It was like he lost the Stone Cold and then just disappeared and never came back. And nobody really knew he was leaving.
And you can tell it's evident because name me one good movie from WWE Studios. Go. Exactly.
They're all bad. They're all bad.
Hey, now, let's not talk ill of the chaperone.
There was that Drew.
That was Triple H.
That was Triple H chaperoning a bus full of children.
Yeah, like he just got out of prison, and he was going on a field trip with his kid to try and reconnect.
And then there was Knucklehead, the comedy movie with the Big Show. That was pretty grotesque. The Marine was okay. The first Marine was okay. Right. Yeah.
Everything else after that.
They made some good movies that didn't feature wrestlers.
Well, they had that Oculus movie that was pretty popular in the horror crowd.
They had that one with her name's who's that black hot lady? Kidnapping. It's called
Halle Berry. Yeah,
Halle Berry.
They had a movie with Halle Berry where she was like
kidnapping
or something.
It was a good movie.
A kidnapping movie. Yeah.
But see, there's the problem lies that no one knew it was a WWE Studios movie.
I only knew at the end of it, hey, look, it's a WWE movie. At the beginning.
But Oculus was fairly popular with horror fans, but it had no wrestlers in it. It was just produced by WWE. I never did get around to watching the Hornswoggle Leprechaun prequel. Never got around to watching that. I own it on digital because I bought the Leprechaun collection pack and it was included.
I don't know if you saw this, but Jericho and Kevin Owens pitched a buddy cop movie.
That would have been good.
That would have been great. Yeah.
And they pitched it to Vince. Vince thought it was great because they were just, they were doing some improv. And he's like, well, we'll run it up the flag and see where. And the guy who's in charge of WWE Pictures, he's like, well, we're getting away from wrestlers in these movies.
It's so stupid for WWE to have a film division and not want to put wrestlers in it.
Yeah.
Like you would think.
Because they weren't making them, they're throwing away money. So
that's ridiculous.
Because they did the Marine 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to branch out and do other movies. Like
the Marine went from Cena, and then it went to Orton, and then it went to The Miz. The Miz. Really?
Yeah.
Walking Tall wasn't a WWE film.
No.
No, it just had The Rock in it.
That's what got them into the film. So I was like, The Rock was good at it. Let's do this ourselves.
Well, if you remember, all The Rock's early movies had Vince McMahon listed as an executive producer because he owned the name The Rock.
Oh.
So, like, if you go and watch all The Rock's like early movies, like Scorpion King, You know, all the
Walking
movies.
Tall.
Yeah, Walking Tall. All the movies he put out at the very start. Vince McMahon is credited as an executive producer and earned royalties because he owned the name The Rock. Now, eventually, you know, The Rock, I guess, came up with some kind of deal or something where he could use it. But that's why he started calling himself just Dwayne Johnson.
Well,
Because,
also it was to distance himself from the WWE.
yeah, but he didn't want to pay royalties to Vince every time he did a movie.
Now, one of the things I think is killing professional wrestling is kayfabe is dead.
Oh, yeah. It's
That
way
kayfabe is so dead. You know, you can't just sit and enjoy the movie, the show anymore like it's a movie.
Yeah.
You got to dissect it. You got to have a podcast after, talk shit about it, give it a rating.
Which, to be fair, there's a lot of movie review podcasts out there too.
Yeah.
You know, they do the same thing, but I think it's just the fact that people have a different standard when it comes to wrestling. Here's something that really irks me that people do. You know, people saying, well, it's fake. Like, why would you show any kind of emotion or anything when you watch it? And it's like, okay, why did you cry when you watched the fucking Notebook?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a story that's being told. It's a fictional story. It's just that your preconceived notion is that people think that this scripted story is real, whereas your scripted story is more of a pure, real story because people know it's not real. But we know this isn't real.
Yeah.
That's always bugged the hell out of me about people, whatever they talk to you about. Like normies that don't watch wrestling, when they talk to you about wrestling, they always say something stupid like that. Have you all experienced that in your lives? I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the extent to where someone says, why it's stupid that you watch wrestling, but people are like, I miss when wrestling was real back in the 90s. I'm like, it wasn't real then.
I mentioned this once before too, but when I was a kid, the kids on the playground, they were all like, yeah, WWF, that's the fake stuff, but NWA, that's real wrestling. Like they're really fighting.
No, but don't you think that the death of kayfabe really hurts professional wrestling to the point where this is happening more and more, where wrestling is the butt of jokes?
Of course. Yeah, people don't get into like the characters anymore. So it's like they'll like a guy's move set, so they'll cheer him even when he's a heel.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
it's
I
like-
can't stand. I hate, like, I will admit, like the first 6 months after wrestling, like went back to live crowds after COVID, was the best it had been for me in forever because people actually booed the bad guys and cheered the heels.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ever since the NWO, man, like,
and you know that
cool
this
bad
goes
guys.
back to this even like predates professional wrestling. Like if you go back to old vaudevillian plays, and if you look at Shakespearean plays, they had this situation where you would show up, you would be in the crowd at this show, and when the bad guy characters were on the stage, the crowd would openly boo and jeer at them. You know, so I mean, this is something like literally, this is true. You can look up scholarly research on this. There were baby faces and heels in Shakespearean plays, and when people went to the theater, you know, hundreds of years ago, they would boo the bad guys when they were on stage. So it's like, it's just kind of like getting into the show, respecting the art for what it is. But now it's like everybody's too cool and too in the know to respect the intention of the art. Now it's like everybody has to, well, I'm going to cheer the bad guys because I like the bad guy because he wrestles the way I like to watch a wrestler wrestle. You know, it's just, it's taken away a lot of the mystique of the story.
Where did the death of kayfabe start? Did it start when Vince McMahon came on the TV and say, We're tired, quite frankly, of having your intelligence insulted.
Um,
I think if you ask most people, it's the curtain call. Is when kayfabe really died.
yeah,
Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Hall and Nash had that hug at MSG in the
Yeah, but that wasn't wild. Like that was.
really, I kind of think the growth of the internet is what
Yeah,
killed
that
it
too.
because
That too.
around
that
the
and like
time,
easy access to police reports. When you had
yeah,
in the 80s and
Jeff
90s.
Hardy DUI again, mother.
No, I can't remember who it was, but like Vince got mad at I think it was like Jake the Snake, or it was like Iron
Oh
Sheik and
yes, I
someone.
remember.
They were
Jake,
they were feuding but riding together and got pulled over,
they had
and it
cocaine
was
and
a
they had open
big
beers.
kerfluffle
it was
because one was a
that
good
was
guy, one was a bad guy.
I think it was Jim Duggan and Iron Sheik, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so. Yeah,
And they were
got
like going against each other at the time, but they were caught and busted together, so they got in like deep shit for it. Yeah, because I
They
mean
both
back
got
then,
fired over it.
yeah, I mean back then, I mean Cornette's talked about this. The baby faces and the heels were not allowed to hang out.
do anything. Yeah,
Like they were supposed to kayfabe, pretend to hate each other everywhere they went. Like they were not supposed to be seen at the bar together or in a vehicle together.
like even to the detriment of society as a whole, where you
Yeah.
have the villain. Like I remember hearing stories of like the Four Horsemen getting like chased out of buildings because they would take it too far with dusty roads or things like that. Like,
Yeah.
And you had Bret Hart and Owen Hart fighting off camera, like not talking to each other. And then when they thought the coast was clear, they talked to each other and they both laughed. And some old lady's like, "I knew it was." Oh, they're like, "Ah."
I remember this story,
congratulations, you know the secret.
No,
Shut
but
up.
the effort that they were making not to interact with, like that's dead.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's just
And when you lose that, you lose a lot of the mystique and the hold that the product has over the audience. Because now it's like everybody just sees it as a sideshow act, whereas people viewed it as like a legit sporting event back in the day. And that it's different. And I think that's the reason why, in part, that there's a different audience today.
Yeah.
It's more of a nerdy audience and less of like a blue collar, I drive a truck and watch NFL and NASCAR and wrestling. That's what I
well,
watch.
see, like that's the problem. There is no more wrestling. There's no legitimate like division between the WWE and what WCW was or what NWA was. Like even the NWA now on YouTube isn't even remotely close to what NWA was back in the day.
See,
NWA isn't even on YouTube anymore.
I will argue that there is wrestling. And you know what it is?
What?
MMA.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think MMA plays a big part in the decline.
Yeah, that's a good
That's getting to
segue.
my next big point. I think mixed martial arts, the rise of the UFC, stole a lot of thunder from pro wrestling. Because mixed martial arts, I mean, if you look at it, let's just look at this logically and objectively here. The rules of mixed martial arts, it's legitimately shoot pro wrestling. I mean, that's what it is. If pro wrestling was a legitimate shoot, it would be mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
I mean, the rule set and everything. And it's just, I think that kids now, like Gen Z kids, kids that are like in their 20s, they grew up watching the UFC the way we grew up watching WWF and WCW. And if you've got, this hokey thing over here that everybody knows is bullshit, and then you got this thing here that's real and legitimate and gritty and hardcore, which do you think the young men are going to gravitate towards? And I think mixed martial arts has pulled a lot of young male fans away.
And ironically, like UFC has morphed into, like, to me at least, has morphed into this sports entertainment more than sports itself. Like
Yeah.
ever since their the Ultimate Fighter came around, after that first season was amazing, but
Yeah.
that's from that second season on I couldn't watch it because it was way too much Housewives of California crap than it was actual UFC stuff.
Right. Yeah, I like season 2 though because Rashad Evans won that one. I always liked watching him fight.
So with TKO owning UFC and owning WWE, it's almost like one division is slowly eating the other.
One is definitely going to outgrow the other for sure.
Yes, but like I said, and unfortunately, like, I don't want to say this, but I think, like, when we talk about UFC eating pro wrestling, it won't be the WWE. It'll be everything else.
Yeah.
No. When we say that, we mean that it's like AOL Time Warner. AOL just fell out of it.
Like
Well,
the
I mean, AOL
UFC
fell out of
and
it
they'll
for
be like, let's get
multiple
rid of
other
these guys.
reasons.
Yeah.
Rather than being just getting eaten by a different entity. They just didn't know how to adapt with the times.
But like, let me throw this out there and see what you guys think about it. I would argue that the modern day Ric Flair is Conor McGregor. He wears the suits. He's got the bravado. He wears the glasses. He cuts the promos about how slick he is and how awesome he is and how badass he is. And he can get
that's all a
the
part of his
character.
Like, he is the modern day, like, real life Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And like, he is who people, younger guys, think is cool. Like, we all thought Flair was cool when we were little kids.
I never thought Flair was cool.
Except for you.
Yeah, you were a Hogan guy.
Yeah, you liked Hogan, brother.
Unfortunately, yeah. Before I got a few more brain cells that developed.
Well, no, because I think once again, it's just whether you watch WCW and NWA or you watch WWF/E. Like,
no, but I was never a Ric Flair fan ever.
Well, let me ask you guys this: like, did you all have like a relative or somebody that got you into pro wrestling?
Nope.
No, did you just start watching it on your own, or did
I started watching Saturday night 6:05, WCW.
WCW Saturday night. All
Yep.
right. Canada, what about you?
Oddly enough, my brother hates pro wrestling, but he was watching Saturday night's main event. I'm like, "What's this?" And he explains to me and tells me this guy and that guy, and I'm like, and they had like Junkyard Dog going down a water slide, and I was like, "This is pretty cool."
Like,
So for me,
I remember watching like Clash of the Champions, being like uber excited to watch Clash of the Champions because it was always so good. It felt like you were watching, like, I didn't know it at the time, but like I would equate it to like watching a pay-per-view now. Like,
and that's what it was basically. It was a pay-per-view on free TV, well, cable TV if you had that. Yeah.
So, do you think that pro wrestling needs to start? Like they're going to pretty much, if they go to Netflix, WWE, they said they're going to be more gratuitous. And are you losing that next generation now?
I mean, in today's day and age, absolutely, because people can't take a little bit of edginess to save their life. Like, people get so offended so easily by everything that I don't think there's no way WWE can give up catering to the families and the younger kids. They can't do that.
Well, and see, that's the thing. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. I do think if they want to make younger people, I don't mean children, but like teens and 20-somethings, if you want to draw them in and make them think this is a cool product, you're going to have to make it somewhat edgy. Now, I'm not suggesting that, they're going around calling people slurs or anything like that, but if you just amp up the violence, drop some F-bombs and put some blood on there, like, I think that would help tremendously. and possibly start drawing some of those people back in.
See, I don't think you're going to get new fans out of that.
See, I don't think
You're going to steal a few AEW fans. That's all you're going to do.
Well, like I was going to say,
Possibly.
I don't even think Blood will do anything because, Lord, you see the backlash that AEW gets whenever someone bleeds. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're bleeding just to bleed." Like
Moxley.
But like,
but then again, if WWE does it, they'll just praise them that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
So yeah, Triple H doesn't get it then, right? Because if you're not developing new fans, like your kid Roman, he's gold.
Oh yeah, like I'll tell you what, like I took my son to the park the other day, and within 5 minutes he was talking to another kid about wrestling. Like they're both wrestling fans.
Nice.
So like WWE knows how to do it. It's just being able to keep it. And like I said, going to Netflix, I don't know if getting more like I really don't know if getting edgier is the right answer or not.
But now your son watches AEW as well.
He watches a little bit with me, but he is more of he's a WWE guy because of YouTube. AEW doesn't have a massive presence on
But it's
YouTube.
also what the kids like if the kids are into WWE, that's what you're going to be into.
I mean, not me. I don't watch WWE.
No, I mean like the kids at school.
Yeah.
Like I got Transformers because everyone at school thought Transformers were the bomb.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, to be fair, like my son has a couple friends, like 2 or 3 friends that are really into wrestling, but like it's not like I said, like when I was in high school where everybody was wearing wrestling shirts.
Like that's why people started with Pokemon craze. Everyone loved it. So you're like, oh, I got to get into this.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a single like guy in his 20s right now that likes wrestling.
Aside from a couple people in our group.
I mean, like people I know IRL, like not people in our community. Obviously, they like it. But yeah, I don't know of any. But they all like UFC. They all like mixed martial arts.
Well, I think now, like, I think it's a silent type that likes wrestling, like because you don't really. It's not cool.
Yeah.
Regardless of what The Rock says on Raw, it's really not cool to be a wrestling fan right now.
Mm-mm.
Unless you just get into a group of wrestling fans where you can just be yourself and talk about it. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like before, like I've said this before, before I started this brand and I joined Prediction League and I was a closet wrestling. I had none of this. I had no merch.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like when I went through college. I mean, I never told anybody I watched wrestling.
This was my only thing that I bought at a thrift store that I owned that was wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of a closet fan too, like through my college years and everything, because nobody watched wrestling then. In the mid 2000s, WCW was gone. Austin, Rock, all of them are gone.
I'm very fortunate. Like I have a friend at work who actually wrestled on the independent scenes here on the East Coast.
Oh, nice.
Like he got to meet he told me stories of all the WWE guys now he met before they were big WWE guys.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
yeah. I knew one indie guy. He was a very large guy, and unfortunately he passed away a few years ago. But he was an independent wrestler. Yeah, and he wrestled some he kind of course, this was back in the Attitude Era. He kind of wrestled like a hardcore style, like IWA Mid-South kind of style. Okay. And I remember like he came over to my house to hang out one day, and he literally showed me. He pulled out of his wallet his Kentucky Athletic Commission card certifying him as a professional wrestler. I always remember him showing me that.
That's so weird that you need to have one of those.
So I want to bring up something here. Is WWE's failure under the Triple H reign here to develop new stars?
I wouldn't call it specifically a Triple H problem. I think it's a problem they've had for many, many years.
Yeah,
they have not had a transcending star since John Cena.
And I think that's why. You look at let's go back to the 80s. Hogan and then you go to your Bretts and your Shawns. They're a little different, but then you get your Rock, your Austin, and your Cena. Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena. You put everything into them, and they basically left you high and dry.
Yeah, but you made a shit ton of money off them, though.
No, but
I
I'm
think
talking
you
about the next tier of stars.
See, I honestly don't think that there's ever
I
going to
don't
be a
think they
wrestler.
see that because for as long as, especially since like 2000s, the brand on the marquee is WWE. It's not a wrestler.
Yeah, that is very true.
I
That's
think
a good
that's
point.
the problem with WWE is they focus on the brand and not on the product that makes the brand.
Yeah, there's not a single star that is a draw, quote unquote, anymore. It's not the Bruno Sammartino days anymore. Now it's just the WWE name is the draw that brings the fans to the arena. And I think that's a bad way to go because I don't think pro wrestling is ever going to have a mega superstar ever again. I really don't. I hate to be that
But
blatant.
right now, the next closest guy is Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Is he though? Like
It'd be
He's the
Roman
next.
Reigns.
He's the closest thing.
It would
and
either be
that's only
Roman Reigns or
because the
Cody Rhodes.
WWE because Roman Reigns was right after, literally, it was like Cena and then Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And
Well, they were trying a long time to push Roman down our throats, and he wasn't getting over quite.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turned him heel, put him with Paul Heyman, and finally he got over.
The same with
and
Cena.
Now he's going to come back, and they're going to baby face push him,
as they should.
Yeah.
Which is trying to get that next.
Well,
John
the
Cena
fans are starting to chant, "We want Roman" now at shows. This is after like half a decade of booing him. Like legit booing him, like X-Pac booing him.
That's because like that's my thing is like the WWE gets tunnel vision. Like they spent all of their resources and time building Roman Reigns and nobody else, to the detriment of Raw, to the detriment of NXT, and to the detriment of everyone except for the Bloodline on SmackDown.
Now you got all these names. Like you could have got LA Knight that briefcase and pushed him a little bit higher.
You know how I feel about Triple H's booking.
Yeah,
that's
my point. The
Dude.
names, like you got. Okay, let's go through the names. You got LA Knight. You got Drew McIntyre. You got CM Punk, and Kevin Owens. And then the names start dropping off because Gunther's started to climb, but he's not quite there
yet. You
yet.
Put Sami Zayn up there just from.
Yeah.
He's probably the last one. Gunther can get there.
Yeah.
But yeah. I had this and like this came to my mind because you all know we were talking about how Triple H takes forever to tell stories. I just realized he doesn't tell stories. He's just a soap opera guy. Like you
now,
can
we're
watch
not just shitting on WWE here.
You can watch a month. You can miss a month of Raw and maybe miss 5 minutes of a story, if that.
Now we're not just shitting on WWE here. We're talking about because they're the leader.
Yeah.
So
they are the standard bearer.
If WWE falls, all pro wrestling outside of maybe Japan and Mexico are going to fall with it. I really think that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I honestly believe WWE is too big to fail.
If WWE goes down to what Dynamite has at 700,000, imagine what the numbers are for Dynamite.
Yeah.
I don't know if because
it's just because people are falling away from wrestling. They're not falling.
Their numbers.
This is why wrestling fans are so cannibalistic.
I'm curious.
They're eating themselves.
Like I'm really curious as to what the crossover fan base of AEW and WWE is. Like
I have a theory about that. I think everyone who watches AEW watches WWE, and I think probably 30% of WWE fans watch AEW.
So that's my thing. Like, because like if WWE fails, that doesn't necessarily mean that AEW fails, but I don't know if like, because I don't know how to word it. I don't know if WWE failing would correlate to AEW failing per se.
I think that it would, because I think it would make AEW complacent for one thing. And I think it would hurt their marketability because I think television executives want to try to replicate some of the things WWE does with another company. And if WWE no longer existed, they'd be like, well, nobody likes wrestling, so why do we want you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's possible.
That's the reason why I say if WWE falls, everything around it's going to fall too.
Let's get into the numbers.
Let's do that. Because I did some research here, and because I was just kind of curious, because I know that more people watched wrestling back in the Attitude Era than now. And I just kind of wanted to put some numbers together just to accentuate that point. So what I did was I pulled up the latest available ratings of all the current shows. All of them are from last week except for NXT, which I don't know if they didn't do a show last week or what, but their ratings for the week prior. So their ratings the last week of June. All the rest of these are for literally last week. And then I was able to.
But let's be fair, like this isn't even going to be a really accurate because you're pulling a holiday week ratings. So we got to keep that in mind.
I mean, the holiday was Thursday. It was one day, which would really only affect TNA Impact. But let me go over these numbers here. And I also compared it to, and I just found a random month that I was able to compile numbers for. November of 1999. All right. Okay. So here's the current ones. Dynamite, 680,000. Collision, 306,000. Raw, 1.8 million. SmackDown, 2.25 million. NXT, 611,000. TNA Impact, 92,000. That's the viewership of the latest shows. November of 1999, Raw, 7 million. Nitro, 3.5 million. SmackDown, 8 million. ECW on TNN, 1 million. And I also looked to see kind of what TNA's peak ratings were. And during their height, TNA got between 1.5 to 1.7 million viewers a few times.
So based on those numbers, you could say there's a pool of roughly 10 million, because you could take Monday, which was Raw and Nitro, the 7 and the 3, and you have about 10 million.
Yeah. For November of 1999. It might have been a little higher in 98. I'm sure it probably was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That Nitro number definitely would have been bigger in 1998, but
probably double, if not tripled, of what it is.
It's really hard to find numbers from back then. And this one month was the only month I could find digging through like old PW Torch articles. I found all these numbers for this one particular month in 1999. But I mean, look at how those numbers compare to today. I mean, it's astronomically lower today.
Now the thing with this is where the wrestling isn't dying. People will say, "What's because everyone's on the internet and streaming?"
I know. Yeah.
No, I think I have a somewhat of a good reason I could say. So yes, I don't think numbers will ever reach what it was, but I've heard so many stories of you were either a WWF guy or a WCW guy.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. So when WCW went away and WWF bought WCW, everyone was like, I guarantee you a large chunk of those WCW and NWA fans are like, I'm not watching WWF. And they just quit wrestling cold turkey.
I have
exactly. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's
like if AEW was to die tomorrow, I'm done.
Yeah, I think I would be too. I just have no desire to watch
like
WWE.
You're gonna lose probably 700,000 fans.
Yeah. But see, I think most AEW viewers are also WWE viewers.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like it was.
So Raw will go down as well because of that.
I don't know.
You'll lose some fans.
I think it would lose some. I don't think it would lose a significant amount. I think it would lose a little bit off the top. But I think most people would still watch it. I think the product would suffer greatly.
Look, we need to start knocking on wood. We're talking too much about AEW going away, and I don't want that to happen. Okay?
Now, there's some recent um, graphs here. Now, this is from 2000 to 2020. This is Raw searches, WWE Raw searches on YouTube.
Yeah, look at that.
Look how low that goes.
Look how that bottoms out. Wow. From 2012 to 2021. Look at that dip. That's wild.
Then you have
Like, I'm
Google
just curious.
searches from
09 to
2000
2020. Yeah.
2020. Like, look at that Google search right now for WWE.
That's a hell of a dip. So I mean, when you say it's this kind of negates the argument of, well, not as many people are watching because of streaming and stuff. Well, it looks like the internet interactivity, the social engagement's going down too.
Yeah.
So that's not a good sign. It's not a good trend. And again, you know, nobody here is saying that wrestling's going to die tomorrow. But I think that when you look at these numbers and how this is all dwindling little by little over the course of the past 20 years, I find that to be alarming as a fan. I really do. Because I wonder where pro wrestling is going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now. Or if it's
it'll still be around, but it's going to be niche.
Yeah.
Even more niche.
Because like you said, like we're talking about the last 20 years, it was just predominantly WWE. So now that you legitimately have a viable number 2 that's well distributed, I wonder if that will, in 5, 6, 7 years, have an impact on the viewership or not.
But peak TNA had literally double the viewers of Dynamite.
I understand that.
I mean, do you think, and AEW's ratings over the past year have gone down? Like they've slipped.
That's fine. Look.
They've got to turn it around somehow.
I understand that, but WWE has literally lost like over half of what they, probably like 80% of the viewership they used to have.
Oh, absolutely, they have.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Wrestling is dying.
I think it's all turning down.
But what I'm
That's
saying
the
is,
show, Joe.
but you're not. You guys, I'm just trying to say, you have to give AEW some time. It's been 5 years, and yes, everything is cyclic. So if they continue on this downward trend then there's probably some much cause for concern. I'm just saying.
So that okay. So let's go off that and let's go to this point. And let's just talk about AEW. Let's not talk about WWE right now. What do you think AEW can do to break out of the lexicon of just your standard bearer IWC internet fans and start getting some mainstream notoriety? Do you think they need to change their style up a little bit? Do they need to acquire a major star of some kind? Like what do you both think that they need to do to stop this downward trajectory they're on?
I mean, honestly, I think they just, I don't know if it's a big star, but like I think the problem is like it was just WWE for so long. Like everyone is like, most people don't like change. They don't want a change.
That's the problem with it.
So I think if AEW can stay consistent and just stick around and not go to some freaking obscure TV channel and actually stay in the limelight, because TNT TBS isn't a small channel.
No,
I think they just you have to get a new generation of fans and not this old WWE fans who just want AEW to go away because they're not.
But yeah, that's the problem, is that the WWE only fans are they're putting all this stuff out there. That's in general, they're attacking AEW, but really they're attacking pro wrestling.
Yeah,
and they don't understand that.
And it's like, as much as they say it's 2024, and negative press far outdoes any positive stuff on the internet.
Right.
So,
yeah, the negative mentality, I think, does And that kind of gets back to what we were talking about earlier with the kayfabe thing. It's like everybody's too cool and too smart now. Like nobody could just sit and enjoy anything. Like that.
Yeah,
And
because like
you gotta
it's
be
like
too cool for it.
I don't know why I do this. I guess I'm a glutton for my poor mental health. But like I go into Facebook and I see every single person say the same thing. AEW doesn't tell stories. I'm like, they clearly you don't watch the product anymore.
Yeah.
Because they tell stories. Now, you can sit there and say, I don't like the stories, and that's fair. That's a different conversation. But to sit there and just broad brush strokes say AEW just throws random matches out on Wednesday nights, that tells me you don't watch the product. You're not giving it a fair shake.
Canada, what do you think AEW needs to do to right the ship here?
I think they need to keep WWE out of their mouth. They need to not mention WWE at all. They need to go like this across the board. MJF, keep your mouth shut. You do not talk about WWE. Because he's the one that does it the most.
He does it a lot, yeah. Because he likes to be cool and break the fourth wall.
Yeah, they can't mention WWE. They need to focus on their own product. I love the things like the learning tree. Like it's not there yet. It's not big. But the idea of these funny, entertaining gimmicks, they need to be more in the AEW thing where it's not just about the 5-star matches, but it's also about entertaining you with fireballs in the face.
Regardless of whether the AEW fan base wants to admit it or not, they've got to be sports entertainment. Like if you're just pure plain Jane wrestling, I just don't think that's going to work today. I really don't. Yeah, and what do y'all think about, like, do you think AEW needs to build a quote-unquote big guy? Like, do you think they need to try to build, like, a John Cena, or do they need to try to build, I mean, I know they're not going to build a Hulk Hogan, but, some larger-than-life figure.
I don't think it's possible now.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think it's possible. But I think they have the
you got Swerve and you got Will Ospreay.
I'll say,
and they are big.
Yeah, like Swerve has made mention of the fact that Swerve. He's not just Swerve in a ring. Like this is his legit persona outside of the ring too. Which I think if AEW focused on that, I think that would be a good thing.
They ought to take Swerve, and maybe they've done this some, I don't know. But if I were Tony Khan and the AEW marketing team, I would really push Swerve in the entertainment circle of the black community.
Yeah.
I'd have him go to the Breakfast Club and make an appearance. I'd have him appear on BET. Yeah. I'd have him do Drink Champs with Noriega, all these black entertainment podcasts that are huge. I would put Swerve on there with the AEW championship belt and a fur coat and let him come in and just talk about how great he is and talk about AEW.
Just how he enters the ring for an interview on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
But that could probably that honestly, that's something that would help AEW is if they actually had a marketing department.
Yeah. Someone other than the Buck's wife. Right.
Well, she doesn't work there anymore. She quit.
Oh yeah, she quit.
Or she didn't resign.
Yeah.
That's another story for another day.
For husbands. They didn't stand up for her husband enough. Yeah.
But they didn't allow their husbands to tell their side of the story. Which I could understand that. If you're only letting one person spew out at the mouth and tell their story and not the other side, I'd be angry as fuck too.
I think the problem is that they didn't let him. He just did it.
You know what they need to do? AEW needs to bring in Baby Billy.
No.
I mean,
I love Baby Billy.
If we're talking about people to bring in, legit, Scott D'Amore, I think he would help.
Yeah. I always used to say Gabe Sapolsky would be someone good to bring in to help with some nuts and bolts mechanics.
Someone else who I wouldn't let leave is Bryan Danielson. I'd be like, dude, come work behind the scenes. And he
I
said
think he probably will.
he does, and he said he loves working behind the scenes now. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him even be able to talk to WWE.
Well, Tony says that he would want Bryan Danielson to run AEW if he was incapacitated. Like
That's a
he
good
literally
choice.
said that in an interview.
Yep. Yeah, he's told his dad, he was like, put him in charge if something happens to me.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
kind of on the same topic. Now, this Hawk Tua girl, she's got her 15 minutes of fame. She's got a Funko Pop,
That's how you know you made it when you got a Funko Pop.
but like all this in like 2 weeks.
That's golden, man. That's America. That's American capitalism right there at work. Yeah.
Now,
People say
didn't you say
people
before
say
the show
it
she's got
doesn't
a reality show she's going to be part of?
Yeah, apparently she's getting her own reality show or she's getting some kind of show about her life or something.
So I
Because
told you
apparently-
all not to pivot too much here, but I told you all that I have a tie somewhat to a reality TV star, right? Didn't I tell you this?
No, you did not.
Okay, I mentioned it in the chat one night. Have either one of you heard or seen the show Vanderpump Rules?
Heard of it, yes. Never watched it.
Yeah. So there's a girl on there from Kentucky, from my hometown, Winchester, Kentucky. Her name is Brittany Cartwright. You can look her up. Her mom and my mom were like good friends from high school. And like I've been around Brittany some in her life. And yeah, she's a big reality TV star now. Like she had a big wedding and she's married to this dude named Jax on the show, and Brittany and Jax had their own spin-off show. And I mean she's like huge out in LA now. But yeah, it's somebody that I actually know from my small hometown. So yeah, I have a connection to a reality TV star.
So does this thank you for that story. So does this Hawk Tua girl, does she have any chance of becoming famous at all? Like she's at her 15 minutes of fame.
She'll be.
Is there any chance that this
influencer.
dies off
Yes.
and we never hear of her again?
Yeah, because especially in America, we have a very short attention span.
Here's what I say about this. She'll disappear from popular culture except for the sphere of social influencer. Because once you hit that level, you're pretty much golden. And I'm pretty sure that she said she already has over 1 million followers on her social media accounts. So she'll get an influencer gig and she'll start, oh, look at this. Look at these new Tupperware bowls I got in the mail today from.
So she can make a living off of this. She said.
Yeah, she's going to be okay. The influencer thing, she's going to be able to milk that probably for the next 20 years. Yeah.
She could have a spit on that thing. See, now look how clean that is.
She's going to be on a 2 a.m. infomercial.
Remember the old ShamWow guy?
Yep.
They're going to do like, you got to Hawk Tua, spit on that thing, and then just wipe the rag right over it. And it
Look at
cleans
that.
it
Look at
all
that
up.
shine.
Look at that shine.
But wait, there's more. No.
Oh yeah, those guys would get so like, oh wait, there's more, and like they get.
I'm
really
just glad
super
that she
animated.
didn't get like taken up by some porn.
No,
Like, she was smart about it.
I'm sure they
Because
tried.
I'm sure they were after her right away.
I'm sure they were.
prior to the social influencer thing becoming a big deal, that's what ordinarily would have happened, right?
Yep.
Young, attractive girl would have been lured by a porn company, and then, you know, that would have happened. But now you can just go on TikTok and get 1 million followers and start, you know, hawking products with Hawk Tua on it, and you're going to make tons of money. And I think now you see a lot of young women kind of go that route.
Yeah, a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
But I hope that with wrestling, I hope there's a way that it has it. Like, you don't think there's a chance for another boom?
I don't think so. I think wrestling is
I'm going to
peaked.
remain hopeful and say yes. Just because if not, it's kind of all doom and gloom, and then who wants to live in that world?
I think that it's peaked, man. I don't think there's gonna be another boom period. I don't think there's gonna be another Monday Night Wars. I just don't think wrestling is ever gonna get that relevant in
It
popular
doesn't.
culture again.
I don't want there to be another Monday Night Wars.
Well, I mean,
Well, wrestling survived for many years before it was the golden era of Hulk Hogan and WWF.
it was more of a regional product then too.
Yeah.
But see, like that
Now
genie's
it's a
out of the
streaming
bottle.
product.
Like you
Yeah,
can't
that
do.
bottle's been opened and now you can't go back.
So here's my thing about that. You know, when you look at the economy back then, back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was more artisanal, right? It was more regional in all sectors of the economy, not just pro wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, everything was more regionalized. Regionalized, you know,
Sports, football.
sports teams, regionalized grocery stores. Everything was regionalized, but from like the 80s on up, everything kind of become more homogenized and nationalized. And, you know, corporate capitalism started to boom. Everything started to become more of like a national market, then eventually a global market. And pro wrestling is just another form of industry where that occurred. It went away from the artisan regional style to a national and then worldwide marketing strategy and audience.
Thanks, Vince McMahon.
And I just don't think you could put the genie back in the bottle.
So
with that.
you're saying if Stone Cold came out today, he would not be a big deal.
I don't think so.
Like he'd be a star, he'd be the champion, but he would not be.
I don't think it would be because mainly because you'd have freaking internet sleuths trying to figure everything out and try and tear them down because of something. Like,
And you know what people would say if Stone Cold Steve Austin had existed today instead of back then? Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin can't wrestle. All he does is punch and kick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what idiots would say. You know, they would say he doesn't jump around and do a bunch of spots and this and that. Like he's so boring. Gosh, who wants to watch that?
To be fair, wrestling started out as people on trampolines literally jumping around.
Right? Yeah, so I mean, we're a little over an hour here. So I guess we'll kind of just get a little closing comment from you guys because I think we covered. I know I covered all the points that I really wanted to cover here. Canada F and Dry, what do you want to say here as a closing remark?
I think like if you want pro wrestling to grow, don't cannibalize, because without AEW, without WWE, it's dead. So don't cannibalize. And that is how AFW saved pro wrestling. I've got this shirt coming, by the way.
Nice.
I have the Just Keep Fighting shirt.
I also have that shirt coming too. So
EVP Joe, what do you say?
I think I just want to echo what Canada Dry said. Like, wrestling is for everyone. Like, just enjoy it. Have fun. Like, it's not real life. Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's the best I could say. People take wrestling there's way too many more important things going on in the world for you to get bent out of shape over WWE versus AEW.
It's embarrassing to see people act like that about wrestling.
I'm sorry, I have to bring this up.
Are you done with the FBI thing?
the idiot who sat there and filed an FBI report saying that AEW didn't do enough to denounce the doxing of AEW fans doing it to me. It's not AEW's responsibility, dude. And I'm willing to bet you were probably a douchebag, and that's why they're doing it.
He probably was.
And you know how I know it's true? His account doesn't exist anymore. He deleted it, and his account is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, enjoy wrestling. Like what you like. If you don't like what you don't like, but don't be a dickhead about it, and enjoy wrestling.
All right, so let me ask you both this, because I was hoping to get this kind of answer out of you, and I didn't get it from either one of you. What is one thing, and this could be for WWE, AEW, all of them collectively, whatever. What's the one thing professional wrestling needs to do, in your opinion, to start going back upward and quit trending downward like it has been? Canada.
They need to capture new fans. If you cannot capture new fans, you're not going to do it. So you need to have a guy like Swerve do exactly what you talk about. Go to the breakfast clubs. Go to, the like he had. I don't know which rap star it was, but he came and watched just because he found out AEW had a black world champion. And he thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So you need to keep moving in that direction and capture it.
EVP.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't even know if it's really possible, to be honest with you. I can't think of one thing that would just be like a fix for what has happened over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
really quickly, WWE, they are trying to go back on the Wayback Machine and bring back Stone Cold Steve Austin, bring back The Rock, because they're like, this is what people loved back then. Let's get some of those fans. It doesn't work.
Yeah, they can't create anybody new. That's
because they refuse to create. Like they won't create new stars, and when their top star goes away, they're up shit creek without a paddle because they don't know what else to do. Like that might be honestly, that might be what both companies can do. Don't focus on one person. Create multiple stars.
Yeah.
Like AEW is, like I haven't had this idea of like, oh, if Swerve goes away, there's plenty of people that AEW has done a fairly decent job of building up that could become like their champion and become the face of the company. If Cody, God forbid, something happened to Cody tomorrow, he had to quit wrestling, who takes over for him right now?
You put the belt back on Roman. Is all they got.
Exactly. Going backwards, not going forwards.
You can put it on Sami Zayn. You could put it on Gunther. You could put it on whoever.
Braun Breaker and Gunther are their best hopes right now.
Yeah.
But even then.
And Dragunov, but they're not doing it properly yet.
But I'm a Steiner guy, so I love Braun Breaker. And even Gunther. Do you think they have the ability to honestly grow the sport as the face of the WWE?
Absolutely not.
No.
Braun Breaker is I've been making fun of him saying he's talking like Goldberg, but he in no way has the physique of Goldberg.
Braun
Breaker is not as big as Goldberg.
He's pretty damn big.
Not physically. He didn't have that the same.
He doesn't have the traps that Goldberg does.
No,
he's also shorter.
Yeah, he is. He's still a pretty stacked dude.
Yeah, but he's doing the Goldberg voice.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. I can guarantee you, I kind of wish Breaker would have come around maybe 15 years ago, because he would have been able to bridge WWE to the old WCW guys, because Braun Breaker is like a legit spitting image of his uncle.
And you're creating a new star, Braun Breaker. You don't call him Steiner. What the?
He needs to be a Steiner. Get rid of the stupid Breaker name. Come on.
Yeah.
Have him come out and renounce it and say, they want me to be a Breaker, but I'm a Steiner, damn it. So screw you. And, have him do something like that.
It's like
he didn't have a face turn for a bit.
It's like doing the same thing with Michael McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
You had to Mr. Perfect name right there.
They don't want these people to have their legacy names for some reason.
Stupid.
I don't get it.
It's stupid. You talk about bringing back old fans. You give them the nostalgia, and boom.
That's a very, very good point. Let the legacy wrestlers have their damn legacy.
Do you remember who was that Deuce of the? He was Snuka's son,
Deuce
and then we
Domino.
didn't know
Deuce
till
and
later
Domino?
on.
He was
Yeah,
Sam
his-
Snuka. Yeah.
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 That we didn't know. Oh, what? That's Jimmy Snuka's son.
I
Yep.
mean, there's kind of a reason why they didn't let that legacy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh. But then they just
Tamina
kinda,
wasn't Tamina
ignored
Snuka for
it
the
and,
longest time.
yeah. They ignored it.
Tamina
And
Snuka was just real quick, just Tamina.
Because
Nobody
Vince was
meaner
waiting
than
for the other
Tamina.
shoe to drop on that murder charge.
Oh. Oh, good old Jimmy Snuka. Jeez. One of Vince McMahon's many skeletons in his closet,
Yes.
for sure. All right. I guess that does it for us, gentlemen. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. If neither one of you
Noob,
have
you ain't
anything
wrong with
else-
that comment, sir.
With this note, we're gonna leave this with before we say the "Just Keep Fighting" speech.
Mhm.
The only legacy wrestler we're getting tired of is Charlotte Flair.
Hell, she hasn't even been on TV in months.
We're still tired of her.
She's never going away.
No, she's not.
Never.
All right, guys.
This has been a good
As you
discussion.
know-
Yeah.
Pardon me?
I didn't mean to talk over it. I was just saying this has been a good discussion. It's been a
Yes,
good
I
episode.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so, on behalf of the F and Expert, on behalf of EBB Joe, on behalf of Canada F and Dry, remember that it's okay to be down. It's not okay to stay down. Sometimes life just kicks you in the nuts, and you're down for the count. But you got to get up. You got to reach out to your friends. You got to reach out to your family. Reach out to us. We'll help pick you up, dust you off, put one foot in front of the other. You got to raise your fist in the air, put the devil in a sharpshooter, and just keep fighting.
This has been an effing worldwide media production. You can find us on all social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and others. Head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/effing wrestling. And while you're there, click like and subscribe. Want some swag? Head to our store at prowrestlingtees.com/effing wrestling. You can find all these links and much more at our awesome website, effingwrestling.com. As the JFB always says, you can book it.